Hey everybody, my name's Andrew.
And my name is Morag.
And we're back with another Culips episode.
If you want to learn English for everyday use, you've come to the right place. At Culips, we help make English understandable. By listening to our podcast, you can learn natural expressions and conversational structure. If you're interested in learning more about Culips and what we do, check us out on Facebook or our website, culips.com. That's Culips.com. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Today, we are going to do a Real Talk episode. In Real Talk episodes, we tell you about very important expressions that you need to know how to use to function in everyday life in an English-speaking country.
In this episode, we are going to learn how to use the question, "Do you mind if?" to ask for permission in a casual way.
Yeah. We'll also learn how to answer this question because, frankly, it can be a little bit tricky.
You're right, even for native speakers. We're going to listen to 2 short dialogues today. In our first dialogue, we'll hear a positive response to the question, "Do you mind if?" And in the second, we will hear a negative response. And after each dialogue, Andrew and I are going to go through the dialogue very closely to examine and explain all of the key expressions that you guys need to be able to properly ask and respond to "Do you mind if?" questions.
Awesome. That sounds like a great plan. So let's get to that first dialogue. Excuse me.
Yeah?
Hey, do you mind if I borrow your pen? Mine just died.
No, not at all. But bring it back, okay? It's the only one I have on me.
Yeah, of course. So, in the dialogue, we just heard a conversation between 2 strangers at a cafe. The man asked to borrow a pen. Okay, let's take a closer look now at how he did that and what the response was. So, even though this was a very short dialogue, we have 2 key expressions that we should check out. And the first one is how he asked to borrow the pen. He said, "Do you mind if I borrow your pen? Do you mind if I borrow your pen?" And this question that begins with, "Do you mind if?" in my opinion, this is just a very nice way to ask for permission. It's not too formal, but it's also not too casual. It's just in that sweet spot in the middle. It's casual and polite at the same time. And I think it's perfect for everyday situations.
I completely agree. It's very casual and nice and polite to say to anyone. I use it all the time.
And so we use this "do you mind if" question style always with verbs, right? For example, we could say, "Do you mind if I open the window?" Or, "Do you mind if I sit down here?" "Do you mind if I turn up the TV?"
Do you mind if I go grab a coffee?
Okay, I'll wait. So this is the first key expression, this casual but polite question style, "Do you mind if?" And Morag, what is the second key expression for the first dialogue?
Our second key expression in this dialogue is no, not at all. No, not at all. Now, this is kind of where things get a little bit confusing and strange because no, not at all, in response to the question, do you mind if I borrow your pen, is an affirmative response. It actually means, yes, you can borrow my pen. So in this situation, no means yes. She's saying that she doesn't mind if the man borrows the pen. She doesn't care at all.
Yeah, so this is really weird. This is wacky English for you, right? Mm-hmm. You are saying, yes, you can borrow my pen, but how do you communicate that? You have to say no, right? Do you mind? No, I don't mind. It's okay. So no. Because this is a little bit confusing, Morag, I'm just going to ask you some rapid fire, do you mind questions, all right?
All right.
And I would like you to use positive answers, okay? I want you to agree, but to use no to answer positively. So here we go. Example 1. Hey, Morag, do you mind if I borrow $1?
No problem.
Okay. Do you mind if I use your phone to make a quick call?
Nope. Go for it.
Do you mind if I pick your brain about next week's test? I have a few questions.
No, I don't mind. What do you want to know?
So yeah, in all of these examples, the response is positive, but the word Morag used to answer these questions is no or nope. Funny, right?
The most important part about one of these do you mind questions or waiting for a response is to hear what happens after the yes or no. Because sometimes people will say things like, yeah, no, I don't mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Both a yes and a no at the same time. If you're ever confused, just pay more attention to what happens after the yes or no, like I don't mind, or sure, or go for it, or absolutely not. Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah, I can imagine this being very difficult to learn the subtleties of this question because it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Nope.
I would suggest waiting until the speaker is done, listen to the whole sentence carefully, and also look for body language, right? If you want to borrow somebody's pen and they sort of pass you the pen, then you know they're probably agreeing to it.
Also, never feel strange about asking for clarification about this because it's something that even native English speakers speaking to native English speakers will have to ask. Be like, wait, was that a yes or a no?
That happens frequently. Even native speakers will get this confused all the time. Yeah, it's just weird.
It's a weird one. All
right. Let's listen to our second dialogue for the day. And in this dialogue, we'll hear another do you mind if question, but this time the response will be negative. Permission will not be granted. Okay, so here we go. Dialogue number 2.
Hey, James, do you mind if I invite Sandra out with us on Saturday?
Actually, I'd rather you not. Sandra and I just don't get along too well. Do you remember what happened last time we all hung out together? She and I got into that big argument right in the middle of the restaurant. I don't know. We just don't see eye to eye.
Oh, well, I thought you guys had patched things up. Well, I guess not. Okay, I'll tell her she can't come. In this dialogue, we heard two friends talking about making plans for Saturday night. So one friend asked for permission to invite their other friend Sandra, but this didn't go over too well. The male friend, James, turned down the idea. He said that he doesn't get along with Sandra, that they don't see eye to eye. So the important part about this dialogue is that the "do you mind" question, "do you mind if I invite Sandra?" had a negative response. She's like, "I'd rather not." So let's check out these two key expressions.
Yeah, exactly. So let's take a look at the question first. The question was, do you mind if I invite Sandra out with us on Saturday? Do you mind if I invite Sandra out with us on Saturday? Again, here we heard a "do you mind if" question used to ask for permission. It's polite, it's casual, and it's a nice way to ask a friend or even a stranger for permission. It's my favorite time of the episode, Morag. It's quiz time.
Oh, yay! What's the quiz on this time, Andrew?
Okay, so with the question, do you mind if, you're asking for permission. But there are actually many ways we can ask for permission in English. There are many different question styles. So I want everybody out there that's listening just to take the next 30 seconds to brainstorm some alternative ways we could ask this question. What are some ways we could make it formal and really polite? Or even make it more casual? So we'll give you 30 seconds. Take some time and try to think of alternative ways to phrase this question. Okay, 30 seconds is up. Did you come up with any alternative ways to express this question?
Another one that I use pretty often is it okay if?
Yeah, is it okay if?
Yeah.
So is it okay if I invite Sandra? Now, who would you use this with? Would this be more with your friends or maybe with a boss? Who would you say this question to?
It's definitely a little bit more casual. I don't think I'd say this to an older person that I didn't know, for example.
Right. Another very common way that I like to ask permission is to say, can I? So, can I invite Sandra? Or if I wanted to even upgrade that a little bit and make it more polite, I could say, could I invite Sandra?
You can also say, may I, although that sounds a little stilted, a little formal.
It's very formal, yeah.
Actually, I use it.
Yeah, you're just a very polite person.
Maybe I am. Who knows?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, Morag, may we move on to the second key expression?
All right, yeah, let's do it.
All right, so again, I think this is the interesting part of this episode is how can you respond to these "do you mind if" questions? And in the second dialogue here, we heard a negative response. But as you'll recall from the first dialogue, when we say no to a "do you mind if" question, it actually means yes. So how do you respond negatively? Do you say yes? What do you say to this question?
Say, for example, someone says, "Do you mind if I open the window?" You can say, "Yes, I do mind." Like, don't do it. But that is a bit confusing.
Yeah. And like you mentioned earlier, Morag, even native speakers mess this up. We make errors and we get confused with these types of questions.
Definitely, you would never just say yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, what I personally do, and I think what a lot of English speakers do, is we use just a totally different type of response. And we like to introduce it with the word actually. All right. So, actually, I'd rather you not. Do you mind if I invite Sandra out on Saturday? Actually, I'd rather you not. All right. I think this is a very polite way to negatively respond to this do you mind question.
And very common.
Very common.
This is a very common pattern.
It avoids that confusion that yes and no create with this question pattern. Yeah. Okay, just like we did before, I'm going to ask you some example questions.
Okay.
Morag, maybe you can just respond negatively with this pattern. Actually, I'd rather you not.
Sure.
Hey, do you mind if I borrow that book when you're done reading it?
Actually, I don't want to lend it to you.
Do you mind if I come by your place tomorrow for dinner? I heard you're a good cook.
Ooh, actually, I'm busy tomorrow night.
Do you mind if I use your printer to print off a report? It's only like 100 pages or so.
Actually, I would rather you not do that.
Awesome. So we just heard how you can use this. Actually, I'd rather you don't do that, or I don't want to lend it to you. I don't want to make you dinner.
Just thinking, this is a really kind of annoying friend you were being there.
Yeah, very demanding for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Morag, that brings us to the end of today's episode. And I hope that all of our listeners out there now have a more solid understanding of how to use this question pattern, do you mind if, and how to respond to it as well.
Because it is an important one. So we will be replaying the dialogues, both of them, one more time at the end here. So you guys can stick around and listen again and get it nice and solid in your head.
That's right. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please support us. You can do that by leaving us a 5-star ranking and a review on iTunes. And guys, all it takes on iTunes is one word. All you have to do is say awesome or great. And we are very happy. That'll help us spread the podcast to more listeners and new listeners as well.
If you have any questions or comments, we would really love to hear from you. So you can send us a message through our Facebook page at facebook.com/Culips podcast or our website, which is culips.com.
That is it for now. We'll be back soon with another new episode.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Excuse me.
Yeah?
Hey, do you mind if I borrow your pen? Mine just died.
No, not at all. But bring it back, okay? It's the only one I have on me.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, James, do you mind if I invite Sandra out with us on Saturday?
Actually, I'd rather you not. Sandra and I just don't get along too well. Do you remember what happened last time we all hung out together? She and I got into that big argument right in the middle of the restaurant. I don't know. We just don't see eye to eye.
Oh, well, I thought you guys had patched things up. Well, I guess not. Okay, I'll tell her she can't come.